Hey everybody, I'm Steven from Dirty South Pinball and Arcade, and today is the second video in the Creature from the Black Lagoon Restoring series, and we're going to have a short video about DMD repair. The Creature has a outgassing display, which there's not a lot you can do about once it starts. It's where the pixels get dim or don't show up at all in certain parts of the animation, and it just gradually gets worse. We're probably going to put a color DMD or pinned DMD in there, so we're not going to really worry about that too much. But we have a vertical line or column on the DMD that's lit up all the time, and that leads me to believe there's a problem with the cables or something on the controller and power board. So we're going to look at that and see if we can get it fixed and how it looks afterward. So come and join us and let's see what we can do. Let's get going. What's up, guys? We're continuing to work on our Creature here. We've got it mostly running. There's a few issues that we're having with the MPU because of the alkaline corrosion it had on it. It looks to be fine right now. I've been working on it. Maybe I've solved it. We'll see. But another issue we have, the DMD, as you can see, is having some outgassing. If you'll notice, you know, the dots around the bottom here, the top of the words right here are kind of dim. That's what some of these older orange plasma DMD displays do. After they've been on for a while, they do what they call outgassing, and some of the, like the credits right here, you can't see the top of it yet. Ballet and Universal here has a little just dots that aren't fully on. Some screens look fine, some screens don't, and that's what causes that. New DMD will fix that, no problem. There's not really anything you can do with outgassing. Once it starts, it's just going to go downhill from there, and it also puts stress on the DMD board here, controller board, and maybe some of the voltage sections may start falling because it puts extra stress on that running an outgas display. But also our main problem is this line here. You can see that comes on in different intensities, and sometimes completely up and down, and sometimes just a few dots. But I think that is going to be caused by this RAM chip on the DMD controller board. What we're going to do is take this RAM chip out, put a new one in there, and see if the line is corrected. So we'll do that and see how it goes. Okay, we've got the DMD controller board out of the back box, and like I said, we're going to desolder the RAM chip here, put in a socket, and put a new one in, and see if that fixes our problem. Now, if you're going to do a lot of desoldering, we're going to use our trusty Hakko FR300, which I highly recommend. It's a little pricey, and I hesitated getting one when I first got it, but now that I've used it, you'll never want to desolder any other way before, especially if you've tried this. Try to do it with this solder wick stuff, which is a nightmare. I'm assuming some people that have used this and know what they're doing can do a little better job, but it is a pain. And even those little solder sucker manual pumps are a pain, but this thing, you know, it heats up fast, vacuums the solder right out of there. I highly suggest it. Alright, we're going to bring the camera in close and I'll show you what I'm doing. we go. Got the solder out of these holes, very nice and clean. Just got to do the other side. Oh, look at this, nice. Not stuck at all. Lifts right out of there, super easy. You don't never want to force it out, just in case some of the solder on the top didn't come all the way out, and if you force it, it could break some of those rings loose from the holes, and that's a whole another issue you'll have to contend with to fix that. So you don't want to do that, but I don't know if you can see, nice and clean that is. We can just pop some new, I like to use the inline SIP type of sockets like this. You just put, you can buy them in strips of I think 20 or 40, and you just cut the length you need, solder one in each side, pop the chip in there. And also, my suggestion for that is if you're soldering them in the board, go ahead and put the chip, maybe use an old one that's not any good just in case you overheat it and damage it, but go ahead and put them on the legs of the chip and put them in the hole, so that will help hold them straight, because sometimes if you're soldering it by itself, it can get crooked and hard to get the chip in there. So I suggest go ahead and putting a chip in the sockets before you solder it in there. Okay, so we're going to take our SIP sockets and cut them to the size we need, which I believe is 14. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 13, 14. Got 14. So I just take a pair of diagonal wire snippers, put them in the little grooves there, and cut them like so. Do the same to another, so I have 2 14s. Alright, like I said, we're going to put the chip in it, so we'll keep them straight. Alright, ready to solder that in there. I like to put a little bit of flux or solder paste on there. Not too much, just enough so the solder will stick good and get cleans a little bit and just makes it stick to the metal a little better. Sucks it through the hole so you can get it good and soldered on both sides. I'm not putting much, I'm just a little bit, and I wipe off any excess because you don't want it all over the board. Alright. Fits right in there nicely. And until you get your first one tacked on there, it's usually good to put something to hold that solid down in there so it doesn't creep out of there. Usually go ahead and do one on each end so it'll hold those in good and proper, and then you won't have to worry about it shifting on you too much. Pop some of that off, and inspect it really good. This is also a really good tool to have, so you can get a closer look. They're cheap. You can get them online for like, I don't know, 14 bucks, maybe not even that much. But my light's going out on me. But it's got a light on it, and it's got different magnification, and you can see real close down on here. Make sure everything looks good and you didn't bridge any solder points. And if you want to be really careful, you can always get your multimeter on continuity and test a few of the points out, which I do at times in case there's anything questionable. All of that looks good, so we can pop this old chip out of the socket now. We're okay. Got our new chip. We're gonna pop in there. And always make sure to line up. A lot of times the board will be marked, and usually they all go the same way, but you got a notched end of the chip, and usually the etching on the board will indicate where the notch is. And like I said, the other chips usually all go the same way, so just make sure you put the board in the correct orientation. And get everything in one side. Looks like they're lined up just perfect. And like I said, sometimes you have to bend legs and everything, but if you use another chip, it usually goes in there just right. So now we'll pop it back in the machine and see if our line is fixed. Alright, gonna pop this puppy right back in. Connectors back on here. Okay, let's see if it did the trick. You can't tell at first because I don't think it... We still got the bad DMD, so we're still going to get that outgassing effect. But let's see if the line has gone away.
Thank you. Thank you. And now, on with the show.
And as you can see, we got no more line on there, so that did the trick. So there you go, folks. Looks like it was a round chip after all. And now we've got a good clean signal to the DMD. We just need to change that DMD out and it should be good to go. Okay guys, that's about it for this video. It was a little short addition to our creature series, but hopefully it was helpful to show you some of the issues that can occur with DMD displays and the controller power boards. Full transparency, I did not come to this conclusion immediately or on my own. I did the normal fixes and tests and diagnostics, reseating connectors, reseating ribbon cables, replacing ribbon cables, which can go bad and do, and other things of that nature, until I whittled it down and decided it was the round chip problem, which I had to basically phone a friend for that. I was on the phone with another friend that does a lot of pinball repair, mentioned it to him, and he suggested that, which happened to be exactly what was the problem. So the DMD still has outgassing. I'm going to replace it with a color screen at some point. So even replacing the DMD, it would still have that line with that memory chip messed up. So when we get ready to put that in, it'll work like a champ, hopefully. And I plan to do a video series on putting together maybe a pin to DMD color screen, how to do that, and putting it in. So be looking for that. Thanks for joining us for this one, and click that like and subscribe button and join us for the next video. Thanks for watching.